Well, we're a commercial industrial electrical contractor that focuses on power recovery through backup power generation through generators. We come into the area to provide the electrical manpower, the electric generators and cabling and everything needed to support that and get properties back up.
I'm the director of power recovery with Bidding Electric. That role entails leadership in this disaster recovery space, managing a lot of the pre-planning, strategic guidelines going into the storms, fleet acquisition, large-scale customer integration, kind of an overall viewpoint of what we're going after, where we're going after it, how we're going after it, going out to the buildings, meeting with customers, diving into how we're going to repower these buildings because they're just all different. I mean, you travel around the country doing this type of work. Southwest Florida is very different than the North Carolina or the Louisiana market. Very much a last-minute audible to find the pathway of how you're going to work here versus the last storm you may have been a part of.
The first step is trying to find them an immediate solution, which is usually done through generators. And been a little unique with this storm is typically it's just kind of an outage that you're trying to get them through, where the power company can kind of get the overhead distribution back up rather quickly. In this event, we had some very unique circumstances where we had a tremendous amount of storm surge that just did a devastation on the utility grid as far as the ground stuff, transformers, underground feeders, all submerged in salt water. Now we're kind of moving into the next phase of solutions for our customers through temporary electrical gear that we can kind of move over to giving them back a feed from the utility as they get their stuff fixed, and then move into the phase of trying to get replacement stuff for all the equipment that was damaged in the storm.
So when we first get out and get the call from the customer, one of the very first things we need to do is go out there and assess the building and assess kind of what we're going to need material wise, but also what we're going to need generator wise, power wise, cable.
The temporary process here required a lot of temporary switchgear and distribution. We had to get very creative when it came to switchgear packages, electrical distribution, working around the building switchgear to entirely bypass that to repower the building. So a lot of these buildings would have 60, 70, 80 condos, and where if that electrical componentry wasn't saturated, you could hit it from a single point with one generator. But this turned into bringing in multiple gear sets in order to work around the flooded equipment and pick up the service conductors on the backside of all of that equipment. So what in a different environment that wasn't wet, what could be done with a single generator and a single set of properly sized cable leads turned into a generator and 10 electrical panels to hit the services on all the backsides of these flooded gear sets.
We met the guys of Florida Structural Group down at the docks and kind of hit it off with the owner Brian and some of the captains. We got involved with kind of taking a look at projects for them, for their customers, for what their power needs were. They were in there doing a lot of an initial response and site cleanup for their customers, and that need for power was there, and so they brought us in to help their customers there.
Florida Structural Group's got incredible relationships throughout this entire market. It speaks volumes to them as an organization and how truly rooted they are in their community. It really does. It's very similar to us back home. I think that's why we linked up so well while we were down here.
With that partnership, what have you guys accomplished so far since the storm?
I think we've been making a lot of progress. We've got a lot of buildings. They still have a lot of restoration work to go through on the property. They have a building with stable power at this point in time that's done, via generators, but they've got power to every unit, and they're able to start their reconstruction process.
As a company, with Florida Structural and some of our other partners and customers in this space, we've deployed and managed over 150 to 175 generators, and that's, turnkey service, hooked up, managed, deployed, fueled, every last bit of it. You go into the building and you power the most important things first, and whether that's lights and receptacles for the remediation crews to come in, or if the HVAC systems are intact, you turn those on to start stabilizing the building and keep a steady temperature to prevent mold growth. But beyond that comes deeper electrical triage.
In this storm, what is unique is a lot of people have at their property, the overhead lines are now energized. And I think the misconception is that just because power is hot at the street, that your days, you're moments away from power. But the reality is the feeders that come down the pole, the transformer that sits on a pad, like more of the utility stuff has been compromised with this 12-foot storm surge. So there's more components in the system that have to be replaced, fixed, or just tested to make sure that they're in good working order, that you don't normally have in a storm like this.
I mean, long game, these electrical rooms need to be moved up off ground level, second, third floor, above the surge plane. If these electrical rooms were elevated, we would be able to bring in a generator and maybe just a couple gear sets to be able to hit the various loads in the building, as opposed to completely bypassing everything because it was all submerged in water. It's going to be a long road ahead. I mean, the utility infrastructure took such a hit. Supply chain delays are real. You look at the 50, 60 buildings on Fort Myers Beach, the electrical systems in every single one of them are different. It's not off-the-shelf parts. It's purpose-built for that building, for that application, for the service, and for the quantity of condos or whatever it may be inside of that building.
We rough it for a little bit when we first get the call. We typically mobilize. Some of us will move before the storm to get down into the area. I've been doing this for quite some time. It's a lot of sleeping in trucks, crashing at a rest stop. You might be lucky to find a truck stop or something like that to be able to use a bathroom or a shower or something. But now that we're down here and we're established and we got all of our equipment down, we've moved all the manpower and stuff. We're able to set up a little bit of a base camp.
It's a mix of hotels in our bunkhouses and command centers here. We have some people that like to travel in travel trailers and campers and so forth. We've got bunkhouse setups that we sleep our guys in. Hotels are a secondary. Long game, you start looking at VRBOs and things like that to be able to put more people in a single room and also bring a sense of normalcy. I mean, we've been living in a parking lot for 8 months in campers and bunkhouses, and while that's great, it keeps us close to the market. You start gets old after a little while, of course. You start wanting some of those creature comforts of home, running water that's not in a tank outside of your camper, a kitchen, things like that. Eating out gets old, but it works, and it's cost effective for us to do it. And when we come into a market like this, not knowing what it's going to look like, we need to have a self-sufficient capacity for a while to know we can get on the ground, because you look at the hotel infrastructure in the area, it's either damaged or displaced people need to be in those hotels so they can stay closer to home. So many people here lost their primary residences, and they deserve those hotels first before us. I mean, we're in market to help, but they're in market to sustain their lives. We're realizing that more and more every day. This is one of the longest storm deployments we've ever been a part of as an organization. Typically we come into market 2, 3, 4 weeks at the most, and things are starting to come back to normal. We're pulling our gear back. I think we're going to have a presence here for 12 to 18 plus months. We have so much equipment down here that we need to continue to manage. There's a lot of relationships that we've built down here that are going to lean on us to keep doing good work for them, and keep turning the lights on down the pipeline of when utility's available. So I think we're going to have 10, 15 people down here a lot longer than we ever anticipated. The good news is we've got some Florida natives on staff that are up for that task, so we don't have to pull the plug at a certain point and go home. We want to complete what we've started here. This community needs teams like ours down here, and I think we'll be here to see the end of this.
I've really enjoyed being here and working alongside the people that I've met. We have a whole customer base that's all throughout the whole Southeast, and especially Florida. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense for us to put down some roots here, and and that's kind of the process, honestly, we're in right now.
And moved it to these temporary panels out here, and we're still using the wiring that goes up to each one. So that's how we tie in. But we've basically bypassed all this room and put it in those temporary panels outside.
So you ripped out all the wires from these panels and just connected them here.
So all these things basically used to, like, this was your main breaker. You turn this on and off, and it would turn the feed going up to like condo, like, you know, whatever, 805. Well, we just pull all these out, tie them back in, and this way it's not through this. So technically now you can come in here and yank this off the wall and place that, and then you can feed these back.
Plug everything back in. Wow.
There's a very unique reward in doing this type of work that is honestly what gives, you know, me and all my guys their drive. As an electrician, it's the opportunity to take your expertise and do something in a time where there's a lot of people in need, and you're able to help people and try and get them back on the path to some normalcy after, you know, just a life-changing event.
When we get to a job site and the customer is not sure what to expect, because they're very much in, you know, they're in dismay a little bit of what's going on around them, and we were able to kind of hold their hand, bring them through that situation. I think our guys really excel in just making that customer happy, and it really drives you on to the next one when you get that little bit of positive feedback from the customer.
You're home, the week's coming, you're with your family. Your wife's looking at the weather alongside with you, and she knows you're getting ready to go somewhere and do something. And you know, we make a tremendous sacrifice leaving our families to come down here, but it's something that, you know, in our hearts and minds, we do this for a reason. Walking into a building that has been devastated, communities that have been devastated, knowing that you and your team have the skill sets to power that building back up and, you know, make somebody's day. It's a very good feeling, and it allows me to sleep well at night knowing that we accomplish good things throughout the day. I mean, we track back to all the buildings that we've powered since we've been here. We've had people so excited that their buildings had power back, they were running out of the building with champagne bottles and popping the corks off the generators. I mean, you just can't replace that feeling, and the people are so appreciative. It keeps you going.
You know, it's been the just the overall resiliency of the locals. I mean, the people I've met have gone through this major storm that just turned their worlds upside down. You know, people that were, you know, a charter boat captain the day before now came back to, you know, their boats trashed, the marina's gone, like, you know, there's no tourism, the whole island shut down. So seeing these folks just come together, it created a lot of positive energy, and everybody just, you know, got together and helped one another, and you know, that's kind of what it's all about. I guess the one thing I'd like to say is just what an absolute, like, honor it's been to be down here, not just with the people I've met here, but also just to, I'm so proud of my team. The whole leadership group that's here with us has just done an absolutely just fantastic job. They have just worked their rear ends off for, you know, going on 2 months now. 7 days a week, no breaks, you know. So I'm very proud of everybody. They've worked very, very, very hard in this event.
We've made a lot of progress. We've accomplished what we came here to accomplish, and we will continue that mission as more projects come up, as, you know, more groups want to repower their structures until utility is there. So I think, you know, day by day, that's something that we'll continue to evaluate and make a determination as to what it looks like moving forward.